Imagine a character standing in the center of the frame, symmetrical, strong, unshaken. Now move them to the far left, surrounded by empty space. Suddenly they feel small, vulnerable, maybe even lost. That's how you use composition. Composition is how you arrange elements in the frame, not just what's in the shot, but where everything is placed. It's about creating a visual hierarchy, building relationships between different elements, and shaping what the audience feels. There are no perfect formulas, but here are some foundational techniques that help create strong and intentional compositions. The rule of thirds divides the frame into a 3x3 grid. Placing key elements along these lines or intersections creates energy, balance, and some visual interest. Leading lines use natural lines like roads, fences, arms, or maybe even light to guide the viewer's eye towards the subject. Headroom and look room leave space above your subject's head and in the direction they're facing or moving. This makes the shot feel a lot more natural. Framing within the frame means you can use windows, doorways, or arches, or maybe props, to naturally frame your subject and draw attention to them. Negative space means leaving intentional empty space around your subject, which can maybe emphasize isolation, scale, or mood. Symmetrical compositions feel controlled and stylized, while asymmetrical compositions create tension, movement, or dynamism. Think of these compositional techniques as part of your visual grammar. They help the audience know what matters emotionally, narratively, or symbolically, without a word even being spoken. But composition isn't just about following visual rules. It's about creating visual balance, and that balance can dramatically affect how your audience feels. Let's start by talking about balanced framing. Balanced framing feels stable, harmonious, and intentional. Visual elements are evenly distributed across the frame when you're talking about something that is balanced, and that's often with symmetry or visual weight mirrored on both sides of the frame. You'll commonly see this in corporate videos, interviews, instructional content, and classical Hollywood films where clarity and control are part of the message. Balanced shots can convey order, authority, or a sense of calmness. They feel grounded and reassuring. Now, contrast that with unbalanced framing. These types of compositions feel dynamic, off-kilter, or maybe emotionally unsettled. A heavy visual element on one side might be countered by negative space on the other, or maybe it's not counted at all. Unbalanced shots are used to create tension, unease, or visual energy. You'll see this in thrillers, surrealist films, or emotionally chaotic scenes. They invite the viewer to lean in, question, or feel like something isn't quite right. But whether your shot is balanced or unbalanced, your job remains the same. You have to direct the viewer's attention. And that means identifying your shot's focal element. And that is the single most important thing in the frame at that moment. It might be a person, a prop, a gesture, or maybe it's even empty space. Whatever it is, your shot should make it clear, not by placing it in the center necessarily, but by using visual emphasis. You can draw the viewer's eye to a focal element by using lighting, maybe a spotlight or high contrast lighting on your subject. You can also draw attention by using focus, such as shallow depth of field or shallow focus to isolate that focal element in the frame. You can also use color saturation. A bold color that pops from a muted palette will draw attention. And you can also use motion. That movement draws immediate attention from the viewer. All of these are compositional tools, and they work together to communicate your story. But we also have to talk about shot framing types. Now, these describe how many subjects are in the frame and how they're positioned. For instance, a single shot shows one subject, often centered or offset using the rule of thirds. A two-shot shows two subjects in the same frame, and it's usually used in interviews, conversations, or confrontations. A three-shot has three characters, often arranged in depth across the frame for balance. Over the shoulder, or OTS, is a classic shot in dialogue scenes showing one subject from behind another's shoulder. You also get something called a point of view, or POV. The camera represents the eyes of the character in this case. It's great for immersion or building empathy. Now, shot framing goes beyond just numbers. It's about the emotional context. For example, a two-shot can show closeness or tension depending on distance and balance. A POV shot builds subjectivity. We see what a character sees. And an OTS shot can subtly guide allegiance in a conversation. Use these framing types to support the power dynamics and emotional beats of your story. So composition isn't just about good visuals. It's about visual language. It's how you communicate power, vulnerability, status, emotion, and even subtext. It's about clarity, emphasis, and emotion. Ask yourself, what do I want the viewer to look at first? How do I want the shot to feel? Stable, tense, intimate, or isolating? Then use all of the tools, rule of thirds, symmetry, negative space, balance, focal element, and shot framing to make your image really speak on behalf of your story. In next week's video, which I'll link here if it's already live, we'll explore camera movement and how it can motivate emotion, reveal story, and enhance your visual style. I'll see you there.